yeah, you just come up. Yeah, you just do that. You just sit there. Sit there and look pretty. Hello, everybody. This video is coming from me and Flynn. This video might be a little bit lengthy, so you might want to pause and go make yourself a cuppa and get yourself a biscuit or two. I know for a fact that MS has robbed people of their careers, and that in turn leads to many more things for that person in terms of like feeling a loss and grieving for something that they had but they can no longer do through no fault of their own, really. I would like to think of myself as a flexible individual who has got a collection of work skills, especially from working from the age of 14. Yes, I was one of those people who did a paper round. But, you know, it was nice to get a little bit of my own money so that I didn't have to pester my mum and dad for it. So why on earth am I finding it so difficult to get a job? I thought it would be quite nice if I shared my own personal experiences and challenges working with and without MS in this video today. Officially, I started earning at the age of 14, but then as I was in work and I progressed through to college, I got myself a little part-time job in a well-known chemist. I worked there for around about 5 years, and then I come out of college, so I was studying leisure and tourism because I was mad into sport, and then I continued another year doing business studies. That kind of set me up for landing a job when I was 21, and I really loved that because I felt so independent. I felt like part of a team. I felt like part of society as well, going out working. And yeah, it was just really, really good time of my life. I got to be honest, I'm not really very good at interviews, but that interview that I had at that time set me up to be in this company for the next 17 years. Within those 17 years, my work relocated to Cardiff. So in effect, we were kind of being made redundant, but we had a choice to go and work in Cardiff in Wales, or we could have been redeployed back within the company. So I chose to move to Wales. So prior to moving to Cardiff, I was diagnosed with MS. And at that stage, just before diagnosis, I was having a lot of time off. I was back and forth to the hospital for MRIs, and I was also kind of in that stage where I was having relapses, but not severe enough not to take like too much time off. But I do remember there was a period where my leg was really numb, and because I rode a motorbike at the time, everyone just thought it was safer for me to actually stay off work and recover. But we're talking about maybe like a week. So it worked well because my employer knew me, I knew my employer, and there was a really great support mechanism there. So fast forward to moving to Cardiff, and literally within a space of a week, I had the most severe relapse that I've ever had with my MS. But it was a very strange relapse because it came on really, really slowly, and kind of my disability with that increased over like a gradual period of time. So I was still like trying to get into work, and also because they didn't really look like there was anything wrong with me. I didn't know how to explain how I was feeling to my workplace because I didn't look that way, so how could I possibly feel that way? So I kind of continued to go into work until it became too much and I wasn't able to actually do the work anymore. And I had to take time off, and I was actually signed off work for about 6 months at that point because of the severity of the relapse. And although I was signed off, I didn't actually stay off for that amount of time. I was eager to get back to work, and I wanted to get back in as fast as I could because can you imagine, for me, I've just relocated, I feel terrible for letting people down, and all I want to do really is do the job that I was there to do. In the times that I was like having time off and stuff, and in that time where I was off, it became quite apparent that the support that I had once sort of got without any questions being asked wasn't really what I was getting at that time. And it felt disappointing because I was trying to deal with something that I had no idea what it was, what was happening to me, what was going on in my body. And then I had to basically be justifying this to other people. I got back to work eventually, but because of my MS and because of the way that it was going, I was getting more fatigued, my vertigo was getting worse. There were periods where I was taking more time off, and then with the time off, there were more questions being asked. I even remember once having to send my team like this email to basically explain what MS was, what I was going through. You know, looking back at that now, I shouldn't have had to have justified myself and my condition. So in 2017, I went back to college because I wanted to work for myself and do a job that my MS could fit around, and basically I could fit around my MS. So that's what I did. I became self-employed and I had a brilliant time. Everything was going really, really well. My business was starting to build up. And then in 2019, I had another severe relapse. And guess where it affected? My arm, which basically meant I was no longer able to do the job that I was doing. And there was a whole rigmarole around what had happened to me. It was initially diagnosed as tendonitis, and everyone kept telling me I was going to get back into work. But I never got back into work, and it took 2.5 years almost for my arm to, I wouldn't really say become right because it's never been right since, but to get better. I decided that I wanted to get back into work. I must have applied for about 8 roles, and of those 5, I didn't even hear back from anybody. I didn't even have any acknowledgement that they'd received my CV or that they'd even received my application. One of the job applications came back to say I had an interview, and actually the interview went really well, and almost I felt like the lady was suggesting throughout the interview that I could have potentially been in with a chance of having this job. And then the question was asked, do you have a disability? And I was just honest with her and said that I have MS. And, you know, sometimes I get fatigue and I can get vertigo. But I try to say that it doesn't define me. My MS doesn't define me, and it doesn't define my working life because I have worked for quite a long period of time with being diagnosed with MS. Anyway, needless to say, I never heard from that lady afterwards. And to be quite honest, it was probably the best thing because clearly I wasn't the right person for her, and she obviously wasn't the right person for me. I then heard from another company which I'd made an application for. On that application form was a part to ask about disability. So again, I was just honest and put down that I had MS. And within 2 days after submitting that application, I had an email to say that I was unsuccessful and I wasn't even getting an interview. I also found an apprenticeship online, which I was really interested in joining. It was a 3-year course with the NHS. All the information was online, but as soon as I emailed, I just got something back to say, not available. So, I mean, is this to do with disabilities and disability equality? I don't really know, but I'm finding it really difficult to get a job. So then our government, the wonderful Rishi Sunak, decided that he's going to put this grant out for people who've got lifelong disabilities to be able to get back into the workforce. Well, I could not find a single thing on this, and I went down to my careers advisor and she also didn't know anything about it. So basically, you've got a collection of these politicians sitting around the table and coming up with these really great ideas and then just not implementing it. So what help is that to anybody who wants to get back into work? I just find the whole process really baffling. So where am I at the moment? I've signed up for a free government course in social care, which I am going to complete next week. Kind of ties in with what I'm interested in. And also I'd done my level 3 in counselling. So I'm just interested in that kind of sector. But it still means that I have to go off and do another 2 or 3 years of study before I even become qualified. So, I mean, what do you do? Really, what do you do in this circumstance? I'm just really wanting to share like how difficult that I'm finding it to get back into the workforce. I mean, how hard must it be? I didn't really think it would be this hard. Thanks for listening to me moan and have a bit of a vent. It's always good to do. I feel sorry for anybody who's going through this. I hope that you're going through an easier time. Have a lovely rest of your Sunday and I shall see you soon.